So what I was invited to speak about was stigma regarding mathematics and learners with intellectual disability. And this is a topic quite dear to my heart because I was a secondary maths teacher, and I did an honours project around graphics calculators, and I was really interested in students who found maths difficult and challenging, but not necessarily for any intellectual disability reasons. And as when I moved into that field, there was a sense that it was not quite as well regarded. It was quite a shock, actually. But this is why I do research. There's my little Blossom. She's about to turn 25, so that photo was taken some time ago. But Ruth was born with Down syndrome, and it's been part of my life's adventure with her to learn. First of all, it was me trying to work out how to teach her maths, and I was worried about it when she was that small in the basket, can you believe? And along the way, I've found things that have probably been helpful to other parents and to teachers as well. I found some really intriguing things. Now, let's have a look at one of these things. This is a worksheet that was sent home to for a boy who was in year 9, so he was about 14 at that stage, and he has Down syndrome. Now, if you have a look at it, we can see it. I hope you can. It's got very simple additions, subtractions, single digits, and set out in a linear fashion. He hated this. Absolutely hated it. More than hated it because he actually found it hard to do. He knew it was babyish. He'd been trying to do it since he was in about year 1 or 2, and it hadn't had a lot of success. So his mum asked if that was what I thought was the thing. Considering he wasn't happy, his mum wasn't happy, and his teacher wasn't happy either, it seemed like it wasn't the thing to do. And what I had learned was this possibility of using the curriculum for the year level, so he's in year 9, and making adjustments. So the curriculum that he was doing, his class was doing, was linear equations. So he's a very clever teacher. With a conversation of about an hour or so, we just chatted around about the idea and then how you might do it. This is what she came up with. So here's the worksheet that was then sent home, and the mum sent me a photocopy of it. It says solve for y equals x plus 7. And we've probably all taught classes to do these sorts of things where we've got different values for x and you have to find the value for y. And the teacher then set out an example. Take -2 as your example for x, substitute it in. Can you believe? Sorry, I didn't quite catch. So Siri's trying to help. So I thought it wasn't listening. That's my phone. I've turned it off. There we have the substitute into the values and solve it and put the value in there. Now, he loved this and he did it so quickly. Back it came, quick as a flash. But you also see what he's doing. Repeated single-digit addition. But now it's in a context that is like his peers. And he went on to do some quite remarkable work, which we'll see shortly. So what I'm going to talk about is, what are the stigmas that exclude students? What are their views of mathematics, of learning maths, and what can we do as teachers? So one of the things I wanted to start with is to think about current approaches for learners who are a long way behind learning milestones. So let me I'm going to stop presenting that one, and I'm going to go to a tab. And Randy, in the last presentation I saw, made some wonderful references to this fabulous series of The Simpsons. Well, here's my my offering to you.
Okay. Now everyone take out your safety pencil and a circle of paper. This week, I hope we can finish our work on the letter A.
Let me get this straight. We're behind the rest of our class, and we're going to catch up to them by going slower than they are? Cuckoo!
So, somewhere I've lost you. Oh, there we are. Okay. Now. There we are. That's a very common approach. Now, the teachers aren't cuckoo. We're not cuckoo. We're doing what we've been taught to do. We've been doing what is expected, is what the research has told us, what the textbooks tell us. And so what we see happening, and this is from research, we see that easier work from previous years is often a strategy when learners are a long way behind. Sometimes they're doing completely different content. So students doing linear algebra, they're off doing that, while students who are a long way behind are working on something else. Sometimes they're offered life skills or functional maths. So what's behind those beliefs? There's a belief, and a very strong one, that mathematics is hierarchical and must be learned in order. So there's no point in trying to do multiplication if you can't do addition. There's no point in doing geometry or linear algebra or trigonometry. There's also a utilitarian view that we do mathematics because it's going to be needed in the future. And we put pure mathematics in the curriculum for people who may well go on to university mathematics. But for the rest, well, we put them into other streams. So there's a sense of what's needed for the future. But as we see our 1970s accountant here, it's very hard to predict what the future is going to be, and what he needed to learn in school for the job he did is very different to what students need to learn now for their futures, which we don't know what they are. And then there's also a pervasive view that mathematics is too hard for some students, and it's unkind to inflict it on them. And that, for those of us who love maths, it's a bit of a shock that there are people out there, and we know them, they're the ones who we try not to admit at barbecues and parties that we actually are maths teachers, because you'll get those litany of complaints, but they're the ones that think that, well, why would you do this to kids with intellectual disability? Why would you do this to kids who are struggling? They're going to hate it. But let's see, what are the kids' views? I've been involved in a research study which has been absolutely delightful, working with kids and their teachers with Down syndrome, the students with Down syndrome, regular classrooms, working with their teachers, and we've been looking at what might be possible. And the answer to that question is they love it, absolutely love it. So here are some examples. This young girl, she is now in year 8 in that class. Her teacher was doing tasks from Enrich, that maths website from the UK. A lot of work there for gifted students, but really it's about challenging all learners. And she was absolutely transfixed. They were there watching a video. This was that balloon example of adding and subtracting positive and negative integers. Absolutely transfixed. There's my daughter, who hated anything to do with homework, except when she got into doing algebra, she loved it, and out came the homework. It was fantastic. It was quite a surprise. This little fella, he was in year 8. He was in a bottom stream class, but it was a regular class, and there were many kids in that class who were not as enthusiastic about mathematics as we would hope. I guess most of you have taught students in that sort of space, as I have. But this lad, he was totally absorbed absolutely excited and really interested. And this he was doing, you can see, he was doing power notation, and he was assessed at being at year 3 level. And so this was year 8 work that he was doing alongside his peers. So you won't be able to hear the sound on this, but just watch the reaction of this boy. Can you hear him say, I love it? Can you just see it? Now, this is Bobby from the beginning, who back in year 9 first had that taste of linear algebra. He's now in year 11. He's doing statistics. His teachers taught him how to use a graphics calculator, and you can see he loves it. What a wonderful response. So students love it. What can we do to help them engage with mathematics? It can be a really overwhelming thing, but we can do it. And the strategy that I think is the most effective is year level appropriate curriculum. And there's one of the students in the study, and he was engaging with year 9 work and using his calculator, which he really loved. And he was quite initially pretty quiet sort of fellow, and yet he really engaged with this work. So you start with the content you'll teach to the rest of the class, and then you plan adjustments. So you start with the lesson that you're going to do, but then you think through each stage of the lesson and you think, what are going to be the barriers that the students might have to this learning? Enabling prompts is a term that's used by some Australian researchers, and that's about thinking about, particularly in rich tasks, what support will you need to help students to get into a task? How do you help them to engage? And in this case, let's say with the lesson, what are the points that you think they're going to have difficulties, and what support could you give them? But the important thing is only to offer them when the students show they need them. And we found this in our research study. We had a teacher that was a fill-in teacher, and she'd been told there was a student with Down syndrome, there was an easier worksheet prepared. What she didn't know was that she could give him the standard worksheet and then just see. She gave him the easy one first, and I just said, look, would you mind giving him the other one? And he went right through it. And she said, oh, I just didn't realise I could. And so that was something, it was a really helpful conversation with that teacher, because we then realised, well, that there's that sense that you don't need to give these adjustments unless the student shows they need them. And sometimes they surprise us. Because year level appropriate curriculum, we're finding really astonishing results. And this has led for these teachers to say it's some of the best teaching they've ever done. It's such a surprise to them of what the students can achieve. So year level appropriate curriculum is about jumping over, and we are really seeing that idea of maths as being hierarchical doesn't hold water, that you can allow students to jump over what we thought were preliminary steps. And sometimes they fill those steps as they go. So thinking back to Bobby's work with his single digit addition, he was doing it now in terms of linear algebra and getting lots of practice. So the big ideas in this short chat is that all learners can learn and enjoy mathematics. That's really something that we're finding, even students who seem to be a long, long way behind. And more than that, they deserve the right to do so. So we need to work out how we can do this. And we can support them to engage with this by using year level curriculum. More than that, it's great fun. So it's the end of, I guess, just a taste of some of the things that have been on my mind for some years now. And I always pay tribute to the people who've taught me the most, and that's the young people with intellectual disability. And I invite you, if you would like, to keep in a conversation with me after this chat, and there's my email address, and I'd welcome an email conversation. Other than that, I will hand back to Marion.